Okay, recording started. All right, good morning once again. Thank you for joining. So, in today's configuration training, we will start with some of the basics, such as what to, where to look for information about the camera. I'm somewhat sure that each of you may not be only working with our brand. You may be working with different brands. So I cannot expect you to, you know, uh, if I give you the camera, I cannot expect you to know everything out of the box. Someone has to train you how to configure our camera. The steps are somewhat similar. Every CCTV camera, you have to set up IP address, date and time. Everything is the same. So the steps are same, but how efficiently can you do it? That is what is today's training. Next is where you can get information about the camera. We each of us have a website, and in our website, how to locate that information. So we have to see that. Then one more point is when you have a camera with you, how do you make sure the camera that you have is being installed in the correct location? Both the camera will look physically same, but how do you make sure this dome camera goes to entrance, the other dome camera goes somewhere else to the storeroom? All right. So you cannot be. Um, I'm not here to train you the model numbers and everything in detail. What I'm going to tell you is to give you that hint. Okay, so something is different about this camera. When you look at the model list, you should get a hint. All right, something is different about this camera, and then you can investigate with the tips that I'll give you on how to identify whether this camera is actually for a special purpose, maybe number plate viewing at the entrances, car entrances, and so on. Okay, and also some other points like how to quickly install some common mistakes that people do. So we will check on that. Okay, first and foremost is our website. Let me go to our website, hanwa-security.com. Now, if you are not ready to remember, what you would do is you would type in Google Hanwa Security. Once you type in Google Hanwa Security, you might see one or two website version, Europe, uh, America, and then global. You have to look for the global website. Okay, once you go into the global website, there is a chance that the language may be different. So if at all you are ending up in a language which you're not comfortable with, maybe Korean language, for example. So in that case, what you would do, just click on language and go back to HQ English Middle East. That would be the most appropriate. Now, your local team may recommend you to look for Middle East Arabic for certain special models. For that, take the advice of the local team, but majority of the products that we are working with falls under HQ English. Okay, done. Now, once you go here, um, you would at this point, let's say you are now going to configure the camera, right? So somebody already designed the cameras. They gave you a list of cameras, XND, QND, 8080, 6080. So you have a model list. Now you have to quickly identify how these cameras look and is it indoor, is it outdoor? So these kind of basic information you should have it with you. So how to get that information? First point is go to the website as we did, and then put your mouse over. Um, the website has changed a bit. So just follow with me. Go to support. Okay, under support, online tool. So I'm going to show you three levels. First level is the online tool, and then Wisenet Toolbox Plus. This is an important tool. Okay, the word toolbox. Um, there are other brands. They have the same word, toolbox. They use it for configuration of cameras like IP address, date and time. So for us, it's not that. For us, it's for pre-sales. Checking the camera properties, checking the camera mounting, model numbers, checking the camera storage. So for us, it's pre-sales. We have one more tool called installation tool, device manager, right? So our tool name for post-sales configuration tool is called device manager. Both the tools are actually important for you. If you're only pre-sales, this device manager is not useful. But if you're a person who's working on both pre-sales and post-sales, or you're working on proof of concept, you're doing demos, you need to have access to both the tools. In today's training, majority of the discussion will be on the device manager. However, like I said, we have to touch on some of the basics, right? uh, when you have the camera list with you, you should know what to expect from the camera. Can I expect some extra analytics? Can I, or maybe does it not have analytics? So you should know all this. What is the lens of this camera? Can it cover a certain angle? And is it indoor, outdoor? Those kind of information you should know, and how to know that is what we are looking at. So device toolbox plus, Wisenet toolbox plus. Click on this. Wait for it to load. So once it's loaded, you can just click on the tie button on the corner extreme right, click on new, start fresh. Okay, then make sure you go to network camera. There is other options, all analog camera, NVR. Go to network camera. You have some features here. Filter button. So in case your customer says, hey, I need one more camera in this room, and if you're not sure, you can use this tool, and you can look for a dome camera, let's say 2 MP. So you get the idea. So you can click on I need a motorized lens with IR, and then you will get a few list. And here there are series. We have actually something called a series. It's actually a part of pre-sales training, but today we will see in one line. Um, Not every camera uh, will be. I mean, okay. We have different camera series based on different application and budget, right? If you walk into a showroom, they will show you, I have this camera you can use for storerooms. I have another set of cameras you can use for certain airports. Maybe it has some extra analytics. Then I have another camera you can use for city surveillance. So we have some series with, and there is a difference between the series, and there is a price difference, feature difference. All come from the same factory, all are developed by our own team, but not everybody wants to buy the high end. Not everyone wants to buy the low end. So we are a manufacturer. We have different models for different budget and compliance requirement. We have a lot of models. You will not believe. So you attend pre-sales, you will know the variety of models we have. We are a global vendor. We are not a vendor only for Middle East. The requirement changes. We need high temperature. If you go to Europe, you need low temperature. You go to US, you need certain extra features which will help with installation and certain compliances. So it changes from country to country. All right. So here we are. Whenever you are looking at a model number, just remember uh, L. L is a light series, okay, entry level. Then comes Q. Q is your standard series, your typical camera. You want a camera. If you don't know what you want, after that you can go with Q series. But if you want above the standard requirement, what is standard? Standard lens, standard analytics, standard resolutions like 5 mega, 2 mega. These are common requirements, a day-to-day requirement. However, if you need a 4K camera, you need a long lens camera, you need a special housing camera, you need extremely small micro dome cameras, you need a long range PTZ camera. So if you want above the standard, then you would go to X series. Okay. One main difference, Q series has 6 analytics. X series has 15 analytics, all built in, free to use. So, and X series has 4K and a higher extra zoom lens, higher IR range, so slightly above the standard. So we will see. So here we are. Let's say I can take, let's say I take one X series and then I can take one Q series. Okay, in order to make it a bit more easier to understand, I'm going to take X and V and Q and V. Okay, I'm going to compare these two models. Compare. The differences are highlighted in orange. Now, in your project, in your project, if at all some entrances they need higher lens, so you will have X series also and you will have Q series also. Maybe staircases and lobby areas you will have Q series. Some entrances you will have X series. So I'm not, uh, I'm here to clarify that in a project you can have a combination. It need not be only Q series. It need not be only X series. It can be a combination. Some projects have X, some plus Q, and also L series. All right, some projects have only X series. So it depends project to project. Now, this tool will help you to quickly identify what's the difference, why they have used it. Okay. And another tip I mentioned some time back is X series has more analytics than Q series. X series is slightly above the standard. It's a cut above the rest. All right. You can say it's one of our flagship cameras. It's like if you have Samsung, no, Samsung S20. All right, so it's like that. So it's got above the edge features. Then we have P series. They are premium series, like your Fold, Samsung Fold phones, or Note with the extra S Pen and so on. So more than what you normally require. Those kind of cameras fall under um P series. So multi-direction cameras, camera with five sensors, four sensors, artificial intelligence camera, they all fall under P series. All right. Most, if you are quoting for a P series, your Hanwha team is somewhat involved because today we don't see specification with multi-sensor camera. Today we don't see specification with AI cameras. It is driven by the vendor. It is driven by you. Sometimes you are driving the customer and say, okay, and why didn't you try AI cameras? So these cameras are like the future-proof cameras, next generation cameras, right? So here, let's go back to compare the X versus Q. So like I said, if your X series is 60 frames, Q series 30 frames. The lens is slightly better, X series 2.8 to 12. Then IR range 50 meters, 30 meters. Then two SD card slots, one SD card slot, IP66 and 67. This guy Q series 66. So like I said, slightly extra features. That's your X series. All right. There are many projects asking for it, so it will comply. So if ever you have X series, you can say it's like you can easily comply to almost any requirement in that project. All right. Now, when it comes to analytics, you cannot find it on this sheet. This is the first level of information. Looking at it, you know, both of them are dome cameras. Probably you are not aware. So if you just type in the model number XND 6080R, so you know it's a dome camera. You might probably have another product called XNO 6080R. It's a bullet camera. So looking at it, you know, this is an outdoor. Okay, this is probably indoor. And if you're not sure if it is indoor, just click on the comparison, scroll down, look for IP rating, IP66. Okay, it's outdoor camera. Any outdoor camera can go indoor also, no issue. All right. Then what about this? This is a X series bullet camera, 50-meter IR, 66, IP66. So it is also outdoor rated. Okay, done. Okay, so using this tool, you can quickly look at the shapes. It's dome, it's in bullet. Is it indoor? It's outdoor. Maybe we can take one PTZ. All right. Now, um, okay, so I feel like I should give you one more information. Hanwa-security.com. Go to a language, English, products, and then product naming rule. Products and product naming rule. So if you are interested in one more level of info, for example, why is it X and D? Why is it X and O? What is this O? If you want to know about it, the product naming rule will give you that details. X belongs to X series, Q belongs to Q series, P premium series. Okay, N. N means IP camera. C is analog. P is the shape. Third letter is the shape. It's the P means here we go PTZ. D means dome camera. V. V means you can see here V. V is a dome. It's outdoor dome. D is indoor dome. No IP rating. V is IP rating 66. Outdoor dome. F is fisheye. Then this is a blank. May have some feature. May not have. It's optional. Okay. A is for AI camera. So if it is not AI, it will not have. Then 6 is 2 megapixel. Then next is two digits. Remember, it's not one digit, two digit. If you have adjustable lens, it's called M motorized varifocal 08. That's why you see here 608 XNV 08. You find everything is 08. All right. So it's all motorized adjustable lens. 07 varifocal lens, but it doesn't have a motor. You have to manually zoom in and zoom out. Okay, if a project is very price sensitive, they may have fixed lens 01. Maybe in the lift you will have 01 fixed lens. Okay, then next letter 0 version number. Now um, version number I always chose D version. X and D. If you look at X and D, there are so many options. Version 3, version 2, version 0, version 1, version 5. So version 5 is not a replacement of version 1. It's a different model with some extra special feature. So the word extra special feature, you may not require it unless someone recommends from Hanwha, hey, you should go with 05 version. You don't have to choose by yourself. You can go with the standard 0 version, the first level version 0, right? That is the most common version. If you don't find 0, you can go with 1 or 2. Then R. R is features. If you want IR, the letter R should be visible. Here, all the models have the letter R. That means I chose camera with IR feature. Okay. Then the feature is a little bit tricky because many of us will be tempted. We will be tempted to choose with as many letters as possible. For example, you might think REV is the best. I don't know which is good model. You might choose REV, right? This means you are adding IR feature extra. You are adding extender function. This is an extender camera. You can add one more. You can extend basically from this camera, what you're looking at. You can power one more camera without direct cable to the switch. Okay, camera to another camera, you can pull extender cable, another Cat6 cable, and power another camera. Now, who asked you for this? Is it asked in the specification? No. So you are, if you're quoting for it, if you're adding this, suggesting this, you're increasing the price unnecessarily. We, it's a indoor camera, but if you still need a vandal protection, a metal housing, vandal screws, you can go with V, but it's an indoor camera, right? So it may not be asked in the project, right? So these extra letters, unless and until you need, you can avoid it. You can take help from the pre-sales team, uh, whether to go with it or not. Ideally, only one letter is important for most of us, R with IR. Okay, let me rephrase. Series, IP camera, shape of the camera. What is the two important shape? Dome, indoor dome. O is for bullet, outdoor bullet. V is outdoor dome. Then resolution. 6. 6 is not 6 mega, 6 is 2 mega. So what you have to take away here is if your project as per regulation requires 5 megapixel and by accident someone quoted number 6, it should give you a hint something is wrong in the project. Every camera should have the same number in your project because that's the when a consultant is designing a project, he will not design some camera 2 mega, some camera 5 megapixel because how you'll do coverage, when you do coverage, depending on the resolution, the distance of coverage will change. He's not going to make it complicated for himself. The first thing a consultant will decide is what should be the resolution for all the cameras in my project. So it will be fixed. So in case in your BOQ you find all six, but one of them is maybe less than six. So that means something is wrong. So you should take note and investigate why one of the camera is lesser. Who accepted it? Will the project accept a lower resolution? All right. So this is something you have to keep in mind. Then two digits for lenses. Now 08 most commonly used motorized adjustable lens. You can adjust as to okay, what is this adjustable lens? When you click compare 2.8 to 12, that means you can adjust. That's why it's called adjustable lens. If you take 601, this is not an adjustable lens. Let me show you. Compare fixed lens 2.4 wide angle lens. So 01 means fixed lens. If it is a PTZ 40 means 40x zoom. All right, then zeros version. Okay, done. Now what else is important? Next, now we are done with model numbering. What next can you get from the toolbox? How to mount? Most of the time the pre-sales team may or may not add mounts. And when you go to the site, you find there is no ceiling, only wall. So you need to add a wall mount. And then, uh, trust me, it's not easy to remember model numbers for wall mount, SHP and this and that. It is not easy to remember. So you need a tool to do that. So you enter the model number in Toolbox, click on Accessory, ACC, and choose the type of mount, wall mount. Once you choose the type of wall mount, you can choose as you like. You can choose upward neck or down like a lamp light or long neck. Maybe the wall, maybe you need to cover, you need to look little further from the wall. You need a longer neck. You can choose, right? There's nothing here. Okay, then cap. So you can see this color. This is the adapter. Sorry. Then you have the wall mount. Okay. Now, don't worry. All of them are automatically getting saved at the background. When you click on the report, you will find your camera list here and your accessory next to each camera, model number and this. So you can take this PDF or print and give it to the installer. Take these two boxes with you along with the camera and go and install. It makes your life easier. What else can you do with this toolbox is in case the customer says I want to add some two more camera, tell me how much storage is required. So you don't have to go back and wait for a vendor or a distributor or your team to help you with the storage. You can check by yourself. Click on calculate, enter the quantity of camera, enter the number of days, 31 days, and you can make it slightly some more customization settings. you can leave this part, scene, light. You don't have to worry. What you can change is currently it is recording on motion. You change it to continuous recording. Maybe you want to record 24 hours continuous recording. Resolution, check. It's okay. Frame rate, check. 15 frames, okay, check. Codec, you can record H.265. The camera has two features, H.264, H.265. What is the benefit? If you have in your car automatic gear and manual gear, when you're just going for a cruise, you would switch to automatic gear, all right? So that is like common sense. A car has a feature which makes it more comfortable, you will use that. Same way in a camera, it has the latest codec. It has the latest codec, so it will use less storage and bandwidth and also improve the quality. So naturally, it makes sense to use H.265. This one we don't have to teach you. You should know by yourself. If a camera has H.264, H.265, for recording, go with H.265 because you will save storage. Okay, maybe for 2 megapixel, little less, but if you use 5 mega or more, you will see a big saving in the storage. And what are you doing for it? Nothing, just changing to H.265. Camera is doing that. It has a built-in feature, right? So um, not only because storage saving, it also improves image quality. So it is good for you for the recording. All right. So now once you've done that, you can check the quantity. You can say to quantity, I need another 4 terabyte storage. He will ask you, okay, show me proof. You can give the consultant this bandwidth report. You can edit the name here. You can give a project name. You can change the logo, and you can give this report to him, right? Then you can save this for your future reference. Tomorrow, if you want to add one more camera, you don't have to redo everything. Just open the file and add or edit. Okay, let's not dwell too much on this. This is just Toolbox. Next, let's go back to the website. Then there is two more places to look for information. Now, you did not know what analytics were there, right? So in order to get that, there is one more place, support, data center, catalog. Okay, once you go to catalog, support, just remember support is your go-to place. Online tool and data center. Both of them are here. Then products, naming rule. Okay, okay, data center, catalog. You can click on total lineup. Total lineup. This one is old, so don't go for this. Total lineup. I'll download the latest one. Mm. So once it downloads, you will find one level additional information about the product. Now, sometimes there are some consultants who will even tell you, show me on the catalog, show me as a proof that this camera belongs to Hanwha. That time you need the catalog. So in the catalog, you can see the model nomenclature, naming rule. It is also here, X series and all that. Okay, then sc scroll down, you'll find camera, network camera. First starts with AI, X series, P series, then standard X series, then P series, Q series, T series. So this is the content. When you look down, you'll find the analytics are listed here. So this particular camera is a special X Plus AI camera. This guy has got analytics, object detection, defocus, motion detection. What else? You can find power consumption, how much of PoE power is required. This one is a PoE plus camera. Then what is the operating temperature? Then what is the WDR rating? What is the lux level? So slightly one more depth level of information. Does it have gyro sensor, image stabilization, IR cut filter, IR range? IR range was also in the other one. So you got the idea. Okay. Same way you can search for any camera XND6080 or you'll find here 30 meter cut filter at 120 dB intelligent analytics. Intelligent analytics means it's a group of analytics, not just one. It's a group, right? So then all that. Okay. Next, level 3, motion detection. How many motion detection zones? You don't know. For that, you can go to one more level. Certification. If you want to download the IP66 certification, where to download? For that, type the exact model number completely. XND, let's take XNO for the outdoor on the search bar. We'll take a break at in 15 minutes. All right. So XNO 6080R. XNO 6080R. Okay. Here, click. Okay, this is a specific camera. Scroll down. Then you will find certification. For submittal customer consultant requirement, you will find this document. If you want 3D drawings, you will find it here. If you want 2D drawings, you will find in CAD. Um, when you are doing configuration, you have to update the camera. So you will download the firmware. Now there is a key point, important point here. Firmware file is not going to be the same. XN06080, but the file is XNB 6000. It's the same group, so you don't have to worry. You can upload this file to this camera, no issue. All right. Then from the firmware file, you can predict. This was 2021 December 8th, revision 655. So you get an idea when it was released. Okay. Okay. Then what else? Datasheet. Datasheet is where you'll find that extra bit of information. Maybe some consultants may ask, um, can you check if what is the value of shutter speed? What is the value of white, lux level or something like that, which is specific to that product, right? So in that case, you just open the datasheet, check how many zones are available. Does it have defog? How many inputs, outputs, mic in, what is the ohm level, all that data. All right. All right, done. So that's the use of datasheet. There is one more info here called online help. If you don't have the camera with you, but you want to know what is in the camera, what features, you can use this document. It's actually very, very helpful document. Click on online help. Every single menu available on the camera is actually available here. So you can see it's a feature-rich camera, 120 pages. Imagine. Actually speaking, it is actually close to impossible to cover every single feature of the camera because we take 30 years to develop the camera and we cannot cover in 1 or 2 hours, right? So we have this X series camera is quite powerful. So many options are there. Every single option is explained. What what does this function in the web page, right? Every single feature is explained here. In case you're doing compliance or you don't have the camera with you and you want to check something, you can look at online help, right? So um, this is as if you have the camera with you and you are looking for some information. All right. Then next, installation. We will cover installation before the break. So first step, we hardly open the manual, so I'm going to open here and explain it so you don't have to when you are working on the site. And you can open it when you if you really have a doubt or have a need. So what is the takeaway from the manual? In the manual, you will find something called what is included. Sometimes if you find some parts are missing, it's not available. Someone says, no, I did not see this. I don't remember or something like that. So each camera will be shipped with what's included. If you buy a camera XN06080, included. These are included with the camera. All right. What are the some of the key points which is usually thrown, trashed, because whoever is opening may not know it is useful. IP66 protection, waterproof cable bush. It looks like a rubber piece, but it's for waterproofing. All right. This small screw, it's to fix the sun shield. If you miss the screw, you need to buy or put some other screw. So then terminal blocks. If you have a connection with external power supplies, you require this in that case. L wrench, actually this is all okay. You will have 10 or 20 cameras you can always use from other camera. But every camera you need its own cable bush. There's just one, right? For waterproofing. So you don't have to throw it, keep it safe. So where is this waterproofing? If you will, okay, we'll come to that. All right. So here it is. When you are plugging your Cat6 or any cable, um, where is this? Okay, let's take Cat6 and here there's a power cable. All right, it's going through the cable bush. You see there are two holes for the cable bush because it's two different cables. You can pull through this and then terminate behind the camera. What if you throw this part? If you throw this part, water can go inside and damage the electrical components, electronic components inside, right? The connectors can get rusted because water got in. Okay, so you have to be careful on this as a project engineer or a designer or installer. Please be careful. Next, in the bullet camera, there are different series, right? Some series you have the reset button. The reset button is behind the back box. You can find here there is a reset button, small reset button. Reset button, press and hold for about 5 seconds. Okay, so this reset button, if you forget the password or if you forgot the IP address, in that case you take a safety pin or paper clip, hold the power reset button for 5 seconds. Now um, if you are doing it's fine, but if you're asking someone to do, just tell them 10 seconds or 12 seconds, right? Because sometimes I've seen customers, they don't wait for 5 seconds and they say it's not resetting, all right? Sometimes we waste a lot of time by missing the small steps, just 5 seconds, but they can't even hold it for 5 seconds. I even had a remote session with one project in Kenya because the guy did not hold the reset button for 5 seconds. He called the entire management team and we had to ask them to do it in front of everyone. And then he said, oh, it's fine. It's reset is done. So just say 10 seconds, hold it for 10 seconds, make sure power is connected and wait. You will see the camera light go off and come on. All right. So the camera will reset. Password will be reset, IP address will be reset. Okay, reset button will change location depending on the shape. A dome camera will have on a different place. A bullet camera will have on a different place. Now I'm going to take one more camera. Actually, I'll try to take two cameras. So first we will do this bullet. Okay, I know. Okay, let's do this. And then I will also show you a dome camera. Let's say QND. Okay, so we have here Q and O. Now this one is, we will see what's included changes from model to model. Okay, um, this guy, cable bush, with any outdoor camera you will find it. Indoor camera you will not find. Then we have this desiccant bags. This is for absorbing moisture. If your camera has been in the storeroom for a very long time, then we will ask you to replace these bags. So you will find a spare two of this extra. Then waterproof accessory. You see, there's a special accessory for waterproof. Now, the reason for mentioning this is if you miss waterproofing during installation and there's a rain, you're not going to replace one camera. You're going to replace or repair 30, 40 cameras, a lot of headache. So it's better to prevent during the installation time itself. Okay. So waterproofing accessory. What is the job of that accessory? All right. So this one has also dome. Okay, fine. Let's go. So if you see this bullet camera, it has a pigtail. The previous one, it didn't have a pigtail. So this is a different model. A Q series has a pigtail. It's something coming out of the camera. Cat 6 connector, power cable, and so on. Right? Now, let's see how to terminate and protect. Here we go. The Cat 6 cable. How to connect the Cat 6 waterproof cable to a LAN cable. Water RJ45. Okay, done. Now, this is the Cat 6 cable. It has to pass through that accessory. So this is the Cat 6 connector. Coming from where? The switch. Okay. Now, coming from where? The switch. It has to go through this accessory. Then the receiving end, you have the pigtail from the camera. This is the pigtail. If you remember, just above we saw the camera pigtail. This is the pigtail. Number three, this guy. So this is the female connector RJ45. So connect it. After that, tighten. Then there is a back cover also tighten. So it is now watertight. Okay, there is a cable bush here, I mean gasket here. Okay. After this, they recommend you to put a tape, so for extra protection. That's it. Done. Okay. Then some bullet cameras. And let me just check this. Okay. Some bullet cameras, how do you reset the camera? How do you insert an SD card? Okay. Also, SD card is inside, right? The camera. How do you put the SD card? So you will find a lock unlock button. Sorry, not a button, a symbol. You see this lock unlock. This means you have to twist the camera like opening a bottle. You have to twist. So the lock position will go to unlock position. Once it goes to the unlock position, you can remove the front cover. Once you remove the front cover, you have access to the reset button and you can insert an SD card. Okay, so the position of SD card can change. Okay, done. Next, then comes your dome camera. Again, the same. This is an indoor dome camera. There are no screws. So how do you open? You see the lock button? Oh, it's not visible. You will find here lock unlock button. I mean marking. You just have to twist the knob. You can see here. You just have to twist the camera front cover and it will unlock. How do you put it back? Put it back on the open position and then reverse and then you lock it. Why do you open it? So you can connect and get access to the Cat 6 connector, the SD card, reset button, all inside. Okay. Then what else is the purpose for opening the camera? Uh, okay. All right. Some of the outdoor cameras, they have screws at the top, like dome cameras. For them, it's very easy. You unscrew and you open, right? And again, outdoor dome cameras, we supply something called, excuse me, a cable bush. Sorry, not cable bush. Call this cap installer, right? We supply something called as cap installer. The objective of cap installer is when you are pushing the cat's cable through the backside, this hole, it is um, it's a small hole, right? So it's difficult. So we have the cap installer. You 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 just connect the Cat 6 to the cap installer and push the front part through the hole, making it easier to drive the cable up or to drive the cable through. All right, this will be a very tight juncture, so water will not come inside. All right, it will also be supplied with this XNO. It will also be supplied with this. Wherever you have this kind of installation, we supply cap installer. Right, you just need one actually for as an installer. You don't need for every camera, okay? Because you can reuse it. But we still give it with every camera. Then, okay, all right. Then, what else is the objective of having the camera? You can, once you open the camera, you can rotate. You can, this face, you can rotate. For example, this, if you rotate clockwise, you can rotate the lens. Okay, then you can tilt up and down, up, up, down. You can move the camera up and down this lens. You can go left and right. So for adjusting, right? Zooming in depends. If you want to zoom in, um, you can zoom it from the web page. If it is manual lens, there will be a button there also, or you can rotate the lens. You can zoom in and zoom out. Okay. Then for PTZ camera, how do you fix or adjust? Okay, so I will take this example. You can see there are three screws. Screw 1, screw 2, screw 3. Each of them give you a function for adjustment. The first one at the back, this guy at the back. So here, if you loose this screw, the entire front portion of the camera from here onwards, you can rotate clockwise or anti-clockwise. If you loosen this part, okay, then next is if you loosen this one, you can tilt the camera. This camera can be tilted up or down. For example, if you see the camera, there's this if you loosen this part, you can tilt the camera up or down, vertical, tilting, right? If the camera is too narrow, 45 degree, you want to make 30-degree angle, you can do. Next, if you loosen this part, you will rotate only the front side, either left or right. Okay, the back side will not rotate. Then this guy, there is a hole here. We recommend that it is pointed downside because water, in case water is coming in, it should not get collected. Okay, we changed this design in new X series. You will not have this hole, so it's fine. But if you are still using the older models, this hole, it should be pointing down. So the water, if it comes through, it will fall off. All right, so reset button, remember, you can keep 12 seconds, hold 12 seconds, no doubt it will surely reset. Okay, all right, so let's take a break and then we will catch up. Now, after the break, we will discuss on the device manager, how to configure. We'll go through some tasks, we'll cover it, and then I will also show you how you can get access to practice lab at the end of the class. All right, so let's take a break and then catch up. Okay, shall we continue? All right. Okay, part 2, configuration using Wisenet device manager. How to access Wisenet device manager? hanwa-security.com. Language, English. Support, then online tool. Support online tool. Okay, down, then click on download device manager. Download. What is this link? This is for user guide. Okay, you can download this. Okay, I have already downloaded. Okay, so you click on it, it gets downloaded, but I have downloaded it on my PC. So let me open that. Device manager, right? So I'll start from scratch. So when you open, how does it look on your desktop after you do the installation? This DM, Wisenet DM, device manager, right? That's it. Open. Then click on search. You can close once you find your cameras. You don't have to wait for the entire search to complete. After that, you three things you can check whether all the cameras that you want are listed here, or if you have 100 cameras, whether 100 cameras are listed here. Currently 48 devices searched, one device selected, so I selected one. Okay. Then you should see yellow exclamation mark. If you see red color, that means your camera is out of your network. What is the meaning of out of network? Your PC should be in the same IP range, or the router should be able to allow the communication from your PC to the camera, even if it is outside network. Then it will have yellow. If you see red, that means it discovered the camera, but when you try to apply any settings, it will not reach the camera because you are out of network. Red. Red can also mean your camera is disconnected. Maybe the cable is out or the camera is out, switch something wrong. Um, you have to check the network side. All right. If your camera is brand new, check the cable, check the network, whether it's in the same range. All right. Then another not common, something I recently heard is new switch vendors. I'm not talking about HP or Cisco, Avaya. These are reputed brands. But if you're buying a new brand, brand is big, but if they're new in the switch market, um, you have to take it with a pinch of salt that you will probably find a red color. There was a customer who brought a switch and he connected in the same switch the cameras and the laptop, but he still had red. Then he had to update the switch or he had to get in touch with the switch vendor and fix. All right, so it's not about that brand, but if the brand is new to network switching, you may have to check why it is red. So you have to check on the switch part. Okay, then you can also ping and check, by the way. All right, then okay, next is after you have, let me do something before that. Just give me a second, please. So I'm right now logging in. I click on credential and I log in. I have saved a password, so I am logging in. Okay. Now, once you log in, it will be green color. Okay. Okay. This current step, you don't have to take note. You don't have to take note because I want to show something. I'm going to reset the camera. Okay. So anyhow, if you log in, it will be green color. All right. What is the point? Only after you log in, you can change the settings. Otherwise, you have no right to change. All right. If you didn't log in, it will be yellow. Login failed. Okay. When you buy the camera for the first time, it will not have any password. The camera will not have any password. I had set it up, but for the first time, there is no such thing as a password for the camera. You have to set it up. And the password which you set up, only you know. Your colleague also will not know. So that is one of the first steps of cybersecurity, right? So a secure password, and the password cannot be uh, 123. It has to be a complicated password. So right now I restarted the camera. You see this camera connect failed red color. Just wait for some time. It's restarting. So now it is yellow. Okay, done. Then you would see need password. Need password. What is the meaning of need password? That means it's a new camera. There is no password here. Okay. So 2 points. First is the password itself. There is no default password. No default password. And actually no IP. IP of the camera default will be 192.168 or 1.1.100 or 1.100. Okay. 192.168.1.100. This is the default IP. Okay. The default IP, if you have, if DHCP is there, sorry, if DHCP or there is a server providing IP addresses, sometimes NVR is acting as DHCP, sometimes SSM server can act like DHCP. SSM is our VMS, or your switch is having DHCP activated. That means whenever there is a new device, it will automatically inject a new IP address to that camera. Okay, it will inject an IP address, maybe 1.50, 1.60. Just like when you connect a Wi-Fi from your mobile phone, you go to a new house, you connect to Wi-Fi, it will assign an IP address, right? You are not going to IP settings and changing any IP address. Same way, a camera, when it connects to a network, and in that network there is a server providing IP address, it will automatically assign an IP address to that network. Okay, a new device on the network. So this is called DHCP. You can check about it later on. I'm sure all of you are aware about it. If not, just check it out later on. Okay. If at all there is no DHCP, all the cameras will take 1.100. If you have 100 cameras, all of them will take 1.100. Now that's a problem, right? So first thing you have to do is make sure you log in and change the IP address. Change the IP address as per your requirement, as per your project requirement. Okay. Now here, this camera, when I click credential, it will say enter the new password, initial password. If I type 1234, if I type again 1234, apply, it will say password should be at least 8 characters long. Okay, so what about 1234, 5678, 5678? If I type that, it will say the password, if it is not more than 10, it should have at least two of the following rules: uppercase, lowercase, number, symbol. So it should be a slightly complicated password. Okay. Now all my training devices, I use the same password. I don't change. Okay. This is not a default password. This is the password I am using for my device. I use capital ADMIN at the rate 12. Why? It will fulfill all the condition. Caps, small letter, symbol, which is at the rate, number. So all are there. Okay, you can make your own password for yourself, which is having all this condition, and remember it, because if you forget, then you have to reset every camera one by one. Okay, now I'm going to set up a password, capital AD MIN at the rate 12, capital AD MIN at the rate 12. Apply. Done. Password is set. Once the password is set, login. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, now I can sort by IP address. Can click on this. And one more thing, try to use your keyboard. If I click here, I can delete only using keyboard. I can search again. Okay, so you have to use your keyboard if you want to delete some devices. There are some other options. You can group them here, sites. You can filter which of the cameras you have logged in, which of the cameras you haven't logged in. So there are a couple of things you can do here. The reason for covering this is sometimes you may be here. By mistake, you clicked and you're clicking search, search, search. No camera is appearing, right? Because you already filtered. Okay, make sure you go to all devices. You will see NVR and everything. So maybe all camera. Okay. Now I'm going to log into first. I'm going to log into two similar cameras. Let me take this and I'll take these two. Credential, login. Done. Logged in. Finished. Okay, now you can begin changing all the camera settings. If you want to change the password for all the cameras, click credential again and put the current password and say change password to something else. My request, you don't change any of my password in the camera lab, because if you forget, I have to reset it again. So all my camera devices are using the same capital AD MIN at the rate 12. So when you want to practice, I will give you access and you can use that password. Okay, so it will be mentioned in that practice book. Okay, now let's start. Okay, now like I said, in the initial part of the training, configuring a camera, it is somewhat similar with our brand, other brands. There are five things that you would keep in mind, five key points. First one was the password. Second one was IP address. You have to set up the IP address. If all cameras have the same IP, you need to fix that. So here, let me go ahead and fix these two, 44 and 48. All right, let me also take one more camera. We take 33. This also 34, 35. Okay, now 32, 33, 34, 35. Okay, I'm going to play around with this three. Click on these three. Change IP address. Maybe all of them are 1.100. So click on assign the following IP. You can edit from all the way, all the octet you can change. So let's say you start from, mm, let me check what's available. 192.16. Okay. So let me take 101. I just need to make sure there's no other IP. 51. Okay. After 51, it's empty. So I'll take maybe 60. Okay. So login. Okay. Three cameras. IP assigned. 60. When I click or when I type in 60, first camera will take 60, second 61, 62. Simulate. You will see here 33 becomes 60, 34 will become 61, 35, 62. If you want to change the order, you can. Which one do you want to make 60? If you want to make the last one 60, click up, up. So you moved it up, simulate. Now that is 60, 61, 62. How do you apply? Click apply. Success, success, success. So within a few seconds, I changed the IP address of all my cameras. What did I change from? 33, 34, 35, right? So let me change it back. 33. The DNS, you don't have to change. You can leave it as it is. Only IP address, subnet mask, gateway. Only those three you can change. Apply. Okay, I have changed it back. All the camera IP address. Done. So IP address, now you know how to set. What next? After you finish IP address, make sure you update the firmware. Okay, so firmware, we saw in the first part of the training how to download the camera firmware. How to download? You search for the camera model in the website, scroll down, click on firmware. It may not have the same model number, it's okay, but it falls under this, right? Download. Click on the file, it will get downloaded. After you download, it is downloaded as a zip file. You have to unzip it. After you unzip, go back to this camera. You may have many cameras with the same model, no problem. Click on firmware upgrade. Okay, both cameras, you just upload one file. So click on here. So let's say file and upload that file. Whatever bin file or image file, just upload it and that's it. After you upload, click on upgrade. It will upgrade immediately. You can update one by one called sequence. So that is also good. If you have too many cameras, you can update. We recommend 4 or 5 at a time. Okay. If you want to update after a certain time in the night, you can also fix a time and update. Done. Close. You can update multiple, all the cameras at the same time. Also, you download all the firmware files, unzip it, and then you upload the files and then click upgrade. Okay. Done. Okay. How do you check if your camera firmware is updated? You can check here. Click firmware status check. All of them are latest. Okay, how do you make sure? Sometimes if you're not connected to internet at that point, if your laptop is not having internet, this will not work. Checking the status because it has to connect to our server, right? So you can do that. There is also option to download do using the device manager, but it takes some time because you will be connected to a server in Korea. So there's no local server. But if you download from our website, there are different, it's more faster. Okay, if you have two cameras, you want to get things done quickly, just download and then upload here. Okay, if you have too many models, I download using this option only because if you notice, this is a demo room and every model is different. I have to open each camera separately and download the firmware. So I would just click firmware upgrade and download using the device manager. And tomorrow I'll come back and upgrade everything. So that's easy for me. Something like that. Okay, done. Next, after you fix the firmware, you update it. It is important to update. Please do not skip that step because your NVR may be new and the camera is old. The new NVR and the old camera, maybe they have some video may work, some feature may not link properly. So we would have updated the camera. Then another reason, when you buy the camera, maybe you buy the latest camera. So we just launched. Then immediately after 1 or 2 months, we will update to have one patch, okay? Maybe some bug fix or whatever. So it is good to update when you are installing for the first time, minimum. Then after that, yearly twice or once at least you should update and keep the system updated. Okay. And it depends on your agreement with the customer. Next is date and time. This is a must step. It doesn't matter in if you have NVR or don't have NVR. Camera is used for evidence. Camera, if you want to extract logs, it should have a timestamp. If the time is incorrect, the time which you are, when the camera comes to you, it will have Korea time. So what will you do with Korea time, right? So you have to change according to your region. Okay, if you buy from USA, you will have US time. So it depends where you buy the camera from. It will have the local time from where they're shipping. So in that case, you can fix the time by there is one option here. You can do it all together. Select all. Okay, now there is a plus button. I don't know if you see it. Can you find? Okay, I'm going to make an arrow here. This plus button is actually a very important button. If you forgot where it is, you might be just searching the whole day and figuring out where is that setting. Okay. For people who are already aware of this tool, it's easy, but for new people, there is a chance, right? You may forget where the plus button is. So once you click on plus button, you see a whole load of options. Okay, so here we have date and time. Where is that? Here. Click on it and you follow the step from top to bottom. First, change the time zone. Make it you to your region. Second, sync with your NVR or VMS server, or if you have an NTP server, a central time clock, sync with that. Or if you have a NTP server installed in some Windows machine, you can install that. Or if you have a GPS clock which can provide NTP time, you can link to that. So cameras, each camera, you can tell them take the time from a central location. Now, just for the benefit of those who are new to this topic, this is my common example. If you're probably you might have heard it from me many times. Your mobile phones, all of your mobile phones have the same time in your country. because your service provider, network provider, Etisalat or telecom provider is giving the time. They are your NTP server, central time server. Everybody have the same time. But your watch, handheld watch in your hand, wristwatch, if it is not smartwatch, if it is a wristwatch, analog watch, your wall clock, they have some 30-second, 10-second difference because nobody is syncing the time. No one is centrally managing the time, right? But for cameras, it is important all of them have the same time. And to make sure all of them have the same time, you can take a copy time from one central source, that is NVR. Okay, your recorder and camera, now both of them have same time. Whatever is the time of NVR, camera also will copy that. Whatever is the time of the VMS server, camera will copy that. Okay, so in order to do that, you can enter the IP address of your NVR or SSM VMS server or any third-party NTP server. There are free NTP softwares you can install also. Okay, my NVR IP is, let's say, 205. 212. Done. We have multiple options. If first one is not working, it will check with the second one and third one. You don't have to worry about the others. Just leave it and then click apply. What if you don't have NTP and the camera is year 2000 and the camera is 8 hours behind? If you want to have a quick fix, third option, sync with PC, your local PC. Whatever is the time in your local PC, your camera will copy the time. Okay, for the time being, that is good. So you can also do that. Click start, sync, done, finished. Date and time is set. What's next? Video profile. Adjusting the camera as per the project requirement. Project 1 will tell you I need recording at 1 MP 15 frames. Some other project will say record at full 5 MP, maybe 20 frames or 10 frames or 25 itself. We don't know, right? As per regulation, as per law, it will change. So how do you make sure camera is having that setting? Hmm. When you double click, it will go to the camera web page, by the way. You can log in. We are not doing this through the web page because you have to do one by one. Web page has many options. We have to do one by one. That's why I'm using device manager to do as a group. Okay. Whatever you do in device manager, you can do in web page also. Settings. Okay. Now camera has some profiles built in. H264 is 5 mega 25 frame. H265 is also 5 mega 25 frames. Fine, good. Um, but if you want to record H265 and at 10 frames, you have to change. You have to say, I mean, you have to click on this drop down menu and apply. You don't have to do for each camera. That's why you have device manager. Done. So in device manager, I can select all the cameras and click on video profile, but only one appears. Why? Because it will group the model. So I have 8080, I have two cameras. It will group according to the model number because the settings can change, right, per group. So it will group accordingly. So you take this group, go to H265 profile, and what is the current setting? Okay, remember this step. There is nowhere it is mentioned about this step. You have to double click to get the current setting. Double click. Click on the MAC address, double click. Current setting is 2 mega 12 frames. What is the current setting of the second camera? Double click. 5 mega 25 frames. Okay, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to say my resolution should be 5 mega and frame rate, whichever you want to change, only select them, make it 10 and apply. Okay, both of them have tick box, so when I apply, both the camera settings will get applied. So when I double click here, Let me here. Now it is updated. When I double click here, also updated. Now you can go to the web page and check. Let me, when I go to H265, you can check it is already changed. Now, let's say I change it to which frame rate? Do you want to change to 1? Okay, we'll try that. 1, applied. Now, if you go back to the web page, refresh, H265, scroll down, 1 frame. So it's already updated. Done. So you can change through the device manager. You have 100 cameras, you can do 100 in one shot. Okay, let me make at least 10. Done. Okay, then there's one more thing. If you're using SD card, there is an option to choose which profile will record in SD card, which resolution will record on SD card. So for that, what you would do is create a profile. You can do add. I can also do through device manager. For example, select these two cameras, video profile. I can say I want to add a new profile. Then I can type the name of the profile SD card 1 or SD card 2. Then select the codec H265 and select the resolution and frame rate. Maybe I just need 5 frame recording. So when you click, this profile will be created on the camera as a new profile. So when I go back to the web page, I refresh, you will see SD card 2 I created and it has been registered as a new profile. Okay. Now, question is, how do you make sure it's recording on the SD card? Okay, SD card you have to buy separately. There is a recommended list. I will be sending you some document. It is available there. And you can find the SD card setting under event storage. Once you insert the SD card, you have to click turn on, format, override, all that you have to select. Right now, it is recording a profile called record profile. And the record profile which is MJPEG. Okay, now go back to basic video profile. What is record profile? Record profile is MJPEG. So it is currently recording something else. Although you have created a new profile, camera does not know which one to record. So you have to tell the camera, select, and this is my record profile. Remember and remember this very clearly. This record profile has nothing to do with NVR. It has nothing to do with NVR. It has nothing to do with VMS. It has nothing to do with milestone. It has nothing to do with Genetech or any brand of VMS. It has nothing to do with it. This record profile is for your SD card within the camera recording. You are telling the camera use this profile for SD card recording. Because there is this confusion, we are changing this name. We are renaming it as to edge recording profile. Previously, we called it record profile. People were confused, so we are changing the name. But if you still find record profile, remember it's for the SD card. All right, click, and when you apply, it will, when you go to the event, storage, scroll down. Now, as camera edge recording is SD card 2 profile because it's recording SD card 2 as the record profile. All right. Default is your H264. That is fine. You can keep it as default. Whenever you connect to any new device or VMS, the camera will use H264 to communicate. It's like the most compatible codec, right? So it is okay to keep for now. Later on, you can change in the NVR. You can say NVR, don't record H.264, record H.265. All right, but you don't have to change this. Okay, done. Okay, now for those who are interested in understanding, so what if I have an NVR? How do I make sure NVR is recording H.265? Okay, we are not going to too much deep into the NVR training. I'm just going to clarify one point. If it opens, it will be good. So let me check some other NVR. 192.168.1.212. Okay, this is online. Okay, when you go to NVR setup, when you add a camera, there is something called profile setup, record profile, record. By default, NVR will be recording H.264. But you will go to the NVR and say stop recording H.264, record H.265. That's it. So you have to choose in the NVR which profile to record. Done. You are only preparing the camera using device manager. You are only preparing the camera. You are checking, making all the settings according to the project requirement. Okay, instead of doing camera by camera, you're doing through the device manager. You are preparing H.265, 10 frames, preparing everything and keeping it ready. Once you connect to maybe milestone, in milestone, you change profile for recording to H.265. You connect to our NVR, you change in the NVR profile H.265. If you are connecting to SSM, for example, I have here SSM. If you are connecting to SSM, you have to select here settings, record, record H.265, profile number 3. Before it was recording H.264. So you have to choose in the VMS, right? So do not be confused. Record, just because you put record profile, doesn't mean automatically the VMS is very smart and it will take this profile for recording. Okay, it is for the SD card. Done. Okay, so far clear. Any doubts, you can post in the chat window. I am actually doing a live training. So if you have any doubts, please post it in the Q&A or chat and I will be addressing that. Next is 6. What's next? Focus. Make sure the camera is looking at the right location and it is in focus. How to do that? Click on Device Manager. Actually, you can do here also. You can go to Video, Focus Setup. You can do one by one. If you have just one camera, you can do one by one. Or you can go to Device Manager. Click, select all. I use Control A keyboard. Focus setup. Okay, focus, simple focus. If you click simple focus, it will focus the camera. But how to check the view? So let's take this camera, right click, live viewer. So remember, search, filter button, there is a plus button, and then there is a right click also, live viewer. Now I can zoom in, I can zoom out. Once I am sure of the view, click simple focus. Done. That's it. Now your focusing is completed. All right. Zoom in, zoom out, then click focus. Some cameras you have to do, if it has a zoom lens, you have to do here, zoom in, zoom out. But that's for PTZ. Normal cameras you have here. If you don't have it, that means it's a manual focus, or it is not have it's a fixed lens. Then you will not see this. Okay, done. Focusing is completed. Then there are others minor steps which we will have to cover. Okay, now we will see how to do uh, WDR, naming, privacy settings. We will see these steps. Okay, logs, pixel count. Now, next is WDR. How do you activate WDR? So, camera, we can do it here. Camera setup. Backlight. Okay, this camera. Let me go to the web page. You can also do it through that, but you can see live settings, video, camera setup. There is something called video setup. Okay, what's the difference? Video setup is like the big settings, overall settings. Privacy area. You can enable privacy area and say, all right, this is a sensitive building, should not be recorded. So you can draw a box and put some privacy. So this is privacy area. If you want to rotate the camera upside down, you can rotate. So it will change. So camera view is now upside down. All right, so let me switch that off. Okay, if ever you want to delete, just, okay, there's a delete button, so no big deal, done. Then always apply whenever you make any changes. Okay, WDR. WDR and all the fine-tune settings come under camera setup. Scroll down, backlight, mode, WDR, then WDR on, high, you can keep it high, medium, then you can also keep auto. So within that range, the camera will decide what's the level of WDR required. In low light, you can switch it off. In nighttime, you can switch it off. These are some extra settings you can turn on. All right, so that's it. This is how you activate a WDR. Then, if you're not sure what settings you need, you can use presets. For example, I can say it is a indoor backlight scene, and it will automatically adjust. So there's a lot of bright light. If you're looking indoor, you can say, okay, some tips is if your camera is indoors, you can use vivid, like indoor vivid video. If you're familiar with iPhone, you would see that you can use vivid video for indoor environment, no sunlight. Okay, for those locations, you can use vivid video. If you're looking for number plate, you can click on number plate, so automatically it will adjust. Um, the exposure setting, everything will change actually. It it will become higher. So this is called preset. Okay, now camera name. How to fix camera name? Go to OSD, on screen display. OSD, enable. You can say I want to display date and time and camera title. Oh, here it is. Enable, give camera name, floor 1, apply. So it will get saved here. floor 1, date and time. Okay, done. So that's about it for this camera. You can, what else is required is on-screen display set, WDR. Where is WDR? There is no direct menu called WDR. It comes under backlight. Okay, backlight mode WDR. Okay, camera name, on-screen display. Next, logs. If someone is accessing the camera or you want to check certain logs, let's say who is accessing the camera, there are log options. Access log, who logged in. If someone is trying to enter with incorrect password and all that, you can check who's this guy trying to log in. Actually, the camera, if you put repeatedly wrong password, it will block every connection for 30 seconds. To prevent DDoS, it will block the web page for 30 seconds. So in that case, you can figure out who's this guy trying to log in, or which maybe some old NVR is trying to log in with the wrong password. So you can figure out that here. System log about the whatever changes you make, whatever changes, who made changes, you can figure out who did that change. Then event log, motion detection, whether motion was detected and so on, all the event. How do you make sure camera motion detection is working? Check the log, check the time. Oh, it's working fine. Done. That's how you check. Now let's see how to do motion detection. We will see only these two, and these all you can check later on at your own convenience. So motion detection. How to activate motion detection? First you enable, then click OK. Motion is activated. After that, you draw, by default there is a big orange box, and let's apply. So there is some small movements according to the camera. It is detecting. I don't know if you can see, there's a bar which is moving. It is picking up some movement, right? And there is something called common setting. Common setting means how small the object should be to detect motion. Okay, this we'll see later on. Right now, let's see motion detection. Now, this particular movement, it's too small. If you want, you can increase the sensitivity to trigger. So you will see the bar increasing. Ideally, you should not increase the sensitivity too high because it will create a lot of alarms. You can keep it as 80 or something. Okay. Anyhow, so this is motion detection. You once you create, you click apply, then camera will start to check for any motion in the scene. Then what are the other things? Level of detection. Currently, it is detecting motion, but my minimum requirement is somewhere 38. Okay, but currently the level is maybe 5 or 6. It's not good enough for the camera to detect. So if you want to lower the level, you can lower. If you make it lower, then camera will detect even small movements and it will pick it up as motion. That's it. So now, once the motion is detected, you will see a red color box around it. And you can, if you see the orange line, that means it's above your level of detection. Then minimum duration. Okay, in order to understand minimum duration, let me take one more camera. Okay, so right now I have marked this door for motion detection. If someone is walking across the door from left to right, okay, so he's walking like this from here to here outside the training room. In that case, he hardly took maybe 1 second to cross. The camera will pick it up because according to the camera setting, any movement, As soon as it's detected, don't wait. Minimum duration is 0. Immediately raise alarm. But if I make it 5 seconds, that means if someone is walking in this area, it will check, okay, for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, then it will trigger. It will say, okay, this guy is here and he's been moving in the area for 5 seconds. Then only it will trigger. So it's called minimum duration. Now it can work for you and against you. Against you is sometimes the camera, the minimum duration is 2 or 1 second. All right. Then you set it up, you forget about minimum duration and you forgot about it. Maybe you overlooked it. You didn't see this step and you're trying to detect motion. You're doing some demo in front of customer and you're moving with for 1 second and you come back and you see there is no alarm. Why? Because you mentioned 2 seconds. You might see the bar, you might see the graph, everything, but the camera is waiting for at least 2 seconds. All right, so it is not triggering any event. So in that case, change it to 0 second. So there are many things. It's not just motion and then immediately alarm. There are many calibration settings which you have to do to get the best option for your project. Now, if you want to create one more zone, you can create here. Each zone, you can have a dedicated level of detection, dedicated sensitivity, dedicated duration. It's customizable for each camera, by the way. All right. You can right click, you can delete if you don't want that zone. You can make this box bigger. You can even create a break in the box. Okay. You want to exclude some area, you can exclude. Maybe there's an advertisement screen. It will always cause motion. Exclude it. So exclude will take priority. Even if you include, exclude will have priority. It will first exclude and then only it will check for motion. Then common. Uh, how small should the object be? If any object, even a cat or a dog, it should detect, fine. If you want slightly bigger objects, you can put a minimum size. Okay. Again, don't be confused. This blue color box does not mean this area. The motion area means you're monitoring the zone. Common means minimum size. Any person walking through this, if he's meeting the criteria, width 40, 100 and 42 pixel, 104 pixel. There should be a minimum size. So if a leaf or a bird is moving, it will reject. So it's called minimum size. This will help you to reduce false alarms. All right. So these are the things you can use to get a good analytic. You can even schedule it. You can see schedule button at the bottom. So you can look at that later on. Next is tampering. If someone is blocking the camera, you can enable tampering. Now, tampering is where you need minimum duration, right? So some guy, oh, my colleague is going for lunch. So fine. So right now we are in tampering. So he is not blocking the camera view, so it will not detect as a tamper. But if he is blocking the camera view, it will trigger alarm. Again, when you're doing a demo, you block the camera view, but remember 10 seconds, minimum duration. You have to block for 10 seconds. After that only to trigger alarm. Ideally, you can keep it as 5 or 3 seconds. Don't keep it as 0 because every time someone is blocking the view, it will trigger as a tamper. So keep it 3 or 5 seconds. Again, to reduce false alarms, unnecessary alarms. Okay. It's not false alarm, it's called nuisance alarm because it is detecting correctly, but it is not the right condition. It's a nuisance alarm. False alarm means it is no one is there and it's triggering. That is false alarm. Okay. Next is IVA, which you can see later on. Some Q series have it, X series have it. It's called line crossing. It's a group of analytics, intelligent video. You can say if someone is crossing this line, trigger an alarm. If someone is entering a certain area, trigger an alarm. Enter, someone leave an object, someone is loitering. So these all you can check later on. Okay, done. Then, so that is all about the training. There is something about pixel counter for those who are interested. If you want to know how many pixels in this door, 1 meter door, just you can count here. You can check. Because you're viewing over any desk, this is blurred out. It will be 218, 220 pixels. So if the pixel is not enough, you can zoom in, zoom out. For those who are doing identification and all that, this particular information is important for you. Pixel counter. Now, all of this step, uh, actually what I've done is steps to prepare camera. I have made a short video on YouTube. What I just covered, it's there on YouTube also. The reason is you will practice, but if you're commissioning after 3 months, you may forget, right? So that's why I put this video out there. You can use it for your reference in the site. Maybe where is that small button which I'm missing? Something like that. So all the steps is being covered here, updating firmware, settings and all that. Okay, and you can check the same channel for additional videos. I will be uploading this training video also. You can check. For example, uh, let's say it's taking time. Playlist. Go to camera configuration. So here you will find the 8 steps to prepare the camera, how to activate WDR, how to change the name, how to do motion detection, how to update so pixel, how to count pixels. So I made some videos for your quick reference, okay? Useful for you. All right. So I have a question. If someone is digging or climbing a fence, okay, if someone is digging or climbing a fence, this is the step. You can use either motion detection or you can use a direction. As long if someone is entering a certain direction, you can trigger an alarm. Is my audio clear? I think there's some. Okay, all right. Click on here, analytics, IVA. You should have an objective. If anybody is outside the door, you don't care. I don't care. Nobody cares. But if they come inside your property, then it matters. So you can draw a line and you can give the line direction. If someone is coming, click on it, it will change direction. Out to in. If someone is entering your property, I need an alarm. They may be digging outside, I don't care. Maybe if it matters, then you have to put a different analytic. If they're if they're crossing the zone, if you need an alarm, you can trigger. So here, as long as he's outside, for me there is no alarm. My this box did not become red, right? It is detecting an object, but it will not trigger an alarm. So you can even customize this line. You can click plus and you can make the line like this and so on. You can make multiple lines, by the way. Q series 4 lines, X series 8 lines you can draw. So draw around your property and trigger the alarm. If you want to schedule after working hours, you can schedule that. Then, if you want to detect if someone is doing something in a secure zone, maybe it is your property, but someone is outside doing something, you can draw a box and say if someone is in my property for more than 10 seconds is or intrusion, you can say he's been in my property for more than 5 seconds, you can trigger an alarm. Okay, if you don't want to wait for 5 seconds, then you just say enter. If anybody enters this box, immediately it will trigger an alarm. So there are different analytics. Enter means if someone enter, immediately trigger alarm. If someone leave, that is exit, outside the box. So if someone is going outside the property from inside, then it will trigger an alarm. Appear and disappear. If someone leaves something, left an object, and it will check for 10 seconds. If the object is lying for 10 seconds, trigger an alarm. Loitering. Loitering means if someone is just wandering in the area, he's not digging, he's walking and moving, he's here, he's here, he's here, he's here. So the same object is just around the area. I mean, how do you put it? Let's say if you're, so this guy, he walked in, right? He walked from one place to other place because he had an agenda. But if this particular guy is moving and walking around this area for over 10 seconds, okay, right now all the conditions are high. So if he's just walking around like this on the phone, just moving around in this area for over 10 seconds, then the camera will trigger this alarm. You see the red color box? It has triggered an alarm. So there is something for more than 10 seconds, then it will trigger. Okay. So yeah, so keep this seconds also in mind. Maybe you have to keep 5 seconds, 3 seconds, depending on how you want the alarm. Okay, if there is a lot of activity outside, there's cars moving, so choose wisely. I mean, you can put some exclusion zones and so on. All right, so that's about it for the training. Just to summarize, every camera, how do you prepare? First time, there is no password. You have to set up the password. There is no IP, I mean, there is default IP. You change it according to the project. Firmware, update the firmware. How do you update? You can check the firmware and then update. Remember the plus button, remember to use keyboard, remember to log in and all that. Then next is date and time. Check the date and time. Make sure all the cameras have accurate date and time, local time. Change the video profile according to your project requirement. Check the H.265 profile, make it 10 frame, 15 frame as per your recording requirement. Then focus the camera, then check the WDR setting, check the logs, check the OSD for camera naming and all that. Done. Okay, camera naming you can do here, or if you have NVR, you can do it on the NVR also. So that is, you can keep it for the NVR session, something called um, camera setup, I think, no, channel setup. You can edit the camera name here. So if you have VMS, you can do it on the VMS. So it depends where your final point is, where you're monitoring at the end, there you can give names. Okay, if by law you have to give on the screen of the camera, then you can do it on the screen, OSD setting. Okay, some law does not require. Dubai law, it is mandatory. You have to print the camera name on the video. So there's no, um, manipulation in terms of investigation. Okay, so it depends. All right, then we talked about logs. You will be able to figure out all the logs that happened, who logged in, what events occurred. You can check here. Okay. All right. Now, if you have any further questions, you can ask. I can post it in the Q&A session. I'll be able to answer them. If not, the training is completed. I will now guide you on how to access the lab and other things.